Facebook friends, welcome back to our next episode of Keeping Up with the Kittens. My name is Jen, and we're going to switch it up a little bit tonight. A couple days ago I talked about showing y'all how I do dog intros in my kitten room. So I have some assistants tonight, so I wanted to introduce y'all to them. So this is Zoe. Sit. She is my Schnauzer mix, and then I have Roxy over here. Sit. So, and Roxy is a Shepherd mix. They're both rescue dogs. Roxy is about 5 years old, and then Zoe's about going on, oh gosh, she's probably about 9 years old. So they have been around dogs their whole entire, they have been around cats their whole entire life. So they actually are really good, really gentle, calm dogs that I discovered that love doing this and helped me out with it. So I was just going to show you how we do that tonight. So what I do on my door is that I just have a wooden baby gate right here, and it's just held by tension rods. So the dogs are able to come here and see the kittens. The kittens are able to see the dogs. Nobody kind of can interact with paws or anything. So if the kittens want to leave, they can leave. If the dogs want to leave, they leave. So that's kind of how I work it. It's just a slow introduction. So we're going to go inside and see what happens tonight. So I have my stand set up over here tonight facing the door just to see if anyone does anything. Now I will warn you, sometimes there is some hissing and some spitting, but that's to be expected. So you can see right there, there's Chloe going over to investigate. We've got a little tail raise, but you can tell she is not, she's not terrified by any means. She's curious and she wants to see what's going on. So if she gets scared, she can leave. If the dogs get scared, they can leave. It's really about just them visually getting used to seeing them around as well. So I have some treats here, and I reward the dogs when they do a good job. To encourage them to continue to do what they're doing. So, but you can see there, Chloe's a little upset. She's getting a little fuzzed. But if she was ever too terribly upset, she could definitely leave. So I'm gonna go give Zoe a treat real quick. Good girl, Zoe. Sit, sit. Oh goodness, Roxy, sit, sit. Good girl. That's okay, Chloe. So sometimes it's better when they have other reinforcements over there as well. And so she's there by herself, so she's checking them out. Hi, Chloe. Hi. It's okay. So sometimes I'll redirect them a little bit if they get a little bit too much fixated on the dogs, just to give them a break. Because sometimes when you're experiencing new things, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, I can't move sometimes. But you can see Hazel's coming over here too to check them out. But if they were terrified, they would not be hanging out here. But this is how I do it. I've done it for years, and I've had really good success with everything. Good girls. Good, Roxy. So there's Sterling. He does not mind them at all. So I have it on there. So see, the dogs, they heard something, so they're gonna go check it out. The kittens are there, and they're curious. They're like, where did the dogs go? So they are curious as to what's happening, and want to know, like, what is that big furry thing on the other side of this? So once they get to a certain age, and I don't do this when they're 2 weeks old, I do this when they're a certain age, they're a certain size. I judge the temperament of the kittens.
You know, are they more of a fearful litter or a skittish litter? I really judge it. There's several factors that go into it. So these guys seemed like they were ready. This is about their second or third intro that I've done. So I'll leave the door open for a little while, 15, 20 minutes, and then I'll close the door, and that's kind of their exposure. So when you're doing intros, even when you adopt from us, we always say to do everything slowly. Don't throw whichever animals you may have in your home with the animal that you adopted. That's more than likely not going to end well. So doing things slowly and at the pace of the animals is best. And we do send home some guidelines when you adopt any of our animals, as far as introducing them to your current animals that you have at home, about suggestions about to do. See, there's Sterling. He wants to really go check them out. No, baby. You can't go up there. But we send home suggestions about how to do it, keeping them kind of isolated for a couple of days in a smaller room, and then doing the introductions to other animals. And then even introductions into your new household. That's a big thing for animals to do. You never want to just get a new animal and say, here's my whole house. You want to take things nice and slowly. So let them get used to the sights and sounds, the smells of everything from the bathroom. And then maybe, slowly introduce them, supervise them, and things like that. So there's Sterling. He's definitely fearless. Hazel's checking him out. So when I do this, they're constantly monitored because they are kittens. They can get into trouble. So I monitor them the whole time that I'm doing this to make sure that Sterling's not doing this. If I just left this door open, he would probably be up and over getting into trouble. So. Good girls. And so I don't force any of the kittens to do this. If they want to walk over there, they can. They can walk away at any time. So I don't know, I'll take you over here kind of around the room just real quick to show you what everybody else is doing. Trying to make sure Sterling's not going to jump on out. So Mama is right there chilling. There's two of them sleeping right there. And then there's Hopper over there playing by himself. So none of this is the forced reaction, or not a reaction, but a forced exercise. So if they want to go check them out, they can. And sometimes if the dogs move too quick, somebody gets fuzzed up, but they're all protected with that gate. It gives them, they can view them, they can smell them, but not have that one-on-one introduction yet. Good girl, Zoe. I'm going to treat Zoe. Good girl. You sit? Good girl. So Roxy left. She probably heard my daughter in the kitchen, and now she's back. But this is kind of how I do my intros. So everyone's kind of set up differently. Sometimes you just do the best with the materials and environment that you have, but this has worked really well for me in the past. I've been doing this, for 5 years, and it's really good. And one of the reasons, see, Roxy got a little excited, so she scared them. So usually I just tell her gentle, and she'll kind of back off a little. Sit. Gentle. Lay down. Lay down. Down. What do you think, Sterling? So and that's just kind of part of it, them getting used to everyone's movement and smells. Roxy, be gentle. Gentle. But you can tell if they were super scared, they would not still be there. So they feel confident enough that the dogs are going to stay on that side, they're going to stay on this side, and I'm here to intervene if anything was to go crazy. But in all the years that I've done this, this has been successful. And what I was getting to is that I do this with the dog intros. It's a benefit, I believe, for the kittens, that when I have potential adopters and they ask me, well, have the kittens been around other cats? Have they been around dogs? I can say, why, yes, they have. And I think that's just, it gives them just another benefit for them, a more adoptable, if you will, that they have that experience. So I find that it helps them just have some more qualities for that kitten, that they've been exposed to this, whether be dogs or whatnot. So when they're going into their new household, the adopters kind of have, okay, they've been exposed, we know where to kind of pick up and where to go from there. So sometimes it's just they sit there and they stare at each other. So it's sometimes it's very not very exciting. But it's good that it's not exciting. This is supposed to be a nice slow introduction to the dogs, and so we don't want it to be this heart racing event for the kittens. So we want them to be nice and relaxed and calm about it. But if you're just now joining us, this is our Facebook Live episode every night at 7 with Keeping Up with the Kittens. I am one of the fosters for Houston Pets Alive, and this is my kitten room. And tonight I decided to focus on how I do dog intros with my fosters. I just have a baby gate right there. It's an old-fashioned baby gate with tension rods, and the dogs stay on one side, the kittens stay on this side, and they just check each other out and get used to each other. It's not a forced exercise, so I'm going to show you around the room again. So Mama Cat is right there, and then there's two kittens over here sleeping. That's Hopper and Jet, and then Miss Chloe just climbed up there to play. And so you can see Roxy's very excited. She's very excited when I get to do this. She likes playing with the kittens. So if y'all have any questions about this, about fostering in general, about HPA, about adoptions, please leave them down in the comments and I will help you out with that. If not, we're just going to kind of watch a little bit. Sometimes these intros, this is as exciting as it gets, and that's a good thing. We don't want it to be a very traumatic thing for them. We want it to be nice and calm and relaxing for the kittens. And you can see Hazel's just right over there. She's just playing like nothing's going on at all. So that's exactly kind of the reaction that I want them to have. And you can see Roxy's kind of coming and going. So if the dogs get bored and they're like, I'm done with this, they can leave. If the kittens are done with it, they can walk away from the door and do that. So gentle Roxy. So sometimes Roxy moves a little bit too quick. I think it just startles them. They're getting used to each other's movements and how everybody works. So if you are catching this on repeat or have any questions, I showed you how I do dog introductions into my kitten room. There's lots of factors that go into this about how old the kittens are, their personalities. There's a lot of things that I kind of judge and get a feel for if they're ready to do this. And then even then it starts with me sitting in between the kittens, the dogs, and the gate. And so as they feel more confident, I move away from the gate and give them a little bit more exposure to everything. But as you can tell, they are not stressed over there. They're over there playing between the door. And so having the dogs right there next to them is not stressing them out at all. And that's the exact reaction that I'm wanting to get from them, that they're comfortable enough to play and just ignore basically that the dogs are there. So this is, to me, this was a very successful introduction. I do this a couple of times a week to just give them the opportunity. But this is exactly what, if you wanted a success or fail, this is a success. So you don't want it to be a crazy event or anything like that. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this and saw some tips that y'all might be able to use with your animals. And even if you're not fostering, if you adopted a new animal, of how you might do introductions. You never just want to throw two animals together and hope for the best. If you have any questions about any of that, we do have guidelines and step-by-step of how you can do this at your own house when you maybe adopt a cat or a dog from our organization. But we will see y'all tomorrow evening. Again, if y'all had any questions, leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to y'all. But I hope y'all have a great evening and we will see y'all tomorrow.